question was put forth to me yesterday after I put up my knife video about what if I had no knife, and I believe it was MC Dead Squirrel who asked. I'm sorry if I got that wrong, but that's what I thought it was. No knife scenario, okay? You do not have a blade whatsoever on you. None. No manufactured, man-made knife, alright? So now, a good friend of mine and mentor to me was Ron Hood. And Ron used to say, good enough, sharp enough, strong enough, the word enough, okay? And enough means it's well enough to do what you need it to do. That's what the blade or knife that you're going to manufacture and or use is. It's good enough to do the job. It's well made enough to handle the job. It's sharp enough to cut what you need it to cut. Now if you're cutting butter, obviously you don't need anything sharp. And for most applications that you're going to use in a get-home situation or something like that is not going to be shaving sharp. Shaving? Nah. Another friend of mine, WW, on the internet, his real name is Willie, he likes to go with saying a cheap knife beats using your finger. He's absolutely 100% correct. I would rather use anything sharp enough, well made enough, or even cheap enough than using my finger to cut something. Wonderful point, Willie. Thank you. So, the scenario is we have no knife and we have to get home for some reason, or we have to get through with whatever we're doing. Now, there's different things we can use. Of course, we can look at rocks. Okay? Some places of the country, you won't find too many rocks. If you do find a rock, you can break a rock against another rock and hopefully come up with a sharp edge. You can grind two rocks together until you get a sharp edge. You can take a piece of wood, break it off, grind it on something harder, whether it be another piece of wood or rock. Of course, when I say rocks, that includes concrete, whatever out there is on the road or whatever else. Make it sharp enough to use. Excuse me. Now, so you've got rocks, you've got wood, shells. Some shells are sturdy enough that if you live near an ocean, a beach, or a large lake with oyster shells or clam shells or anything else you can get hold of, you can take a shell and grind it against something or snap it off or use it sharp enough to cut with. Doesn't have to be shaving sharp. Sharp enough is what we're talking about. A piece of glass, a piece of metal off the side of the road, a can lid, a piece of can, and hubcap, any kind of piece of metal that you can break off a chunk or use big enough. I don't care if you have to hold that garbage can lid, if it's got a rusty sharp edge on it, you can cut something with it back and forth. It's good enough to cut with. Alright? If you have something large in metal that's sharp, say a sharp edge on a car or a bumper, or, of course we're looking at old cars with a metal bumper, right? If you have something like that, a piece of glass, anything else, you can take the item you need to cut, if it's small enough, over to the item that you need to cut with, if it's too big, and cut it that way. You're only limited by your imagination. Well, let's look at things that we normally have on ourselves. Okay, so we're out driving around because 90% of us drive, and your car breaks down and you have to get back and you're looking for something sharp enough. You could sacrifice a mirror, that'd be glass, piece of window, maybe you don't need that back cozy wing or whatever. Hubcap, maybe the tire tool's got a point on it for popping the hubcap off. Well, it's very small, but it's metal and you might be able to use it sharp enough, and you could pry with it and other things. You're limited by your imagination of things you're going to think about here. How about an ice scraper? Ice scraper's already got an edge on it. You know, hard plastic things. Use one of those. Let's look at more personal items. My car keys. Okay? No, I don't have an EDC kit on my car keys. I have car keys. I do have a whistle. Okay? I do have my EDC credit cards. My little gas cards. Those are emergency situations for me. This, even though it's flimsy, I could take this, scrape it on the car window, get it sharp enough, scrape it on the concrete, sharp enough to cut with. It would be good enough. Sacrifice a key. Key's almost like a saw blade, right? You could use it. May not do a great job. May take you 3 hours to cut through something. But if you really needed it to do it, it would be enough. Of course, you can always scrape that metal on the key until it got sharp enough to cut with like a knife. Good enough. All right. Larger items, credit cards. Take our credit card, sharpen the edge on the window, sharpen the edge on the concrete, whatever you got to do, cut with it, scrape with it. Some credit cards are pretty darn sharp. You could probably scrape out and do what you got to do with a credit card. It's an idea. Piece of plastic. No, it's not the greatest. It's just an old Gatorade bottle with lemonade in it. But, you know, if I had to use the lid, I took the lid and I broke off this lip edge here, and I had this pretty strong plastic. And I scraped it and scraped it and made it sharp enough. Okay. Bottom of the bottle, pretty strong. Only limited by your imagination. Cell phones. Just like I'm recording this on right now, our cell phone. No, I'm not going to use my cell phone to make a knife. But I do have a cell phone holder. It's pretty heavy duty plastic. I bet I can make something sharp out of that. Sharp enough to cut with. Might not be sharp enough to shave with. But it's sharp enough to possibly cut with, scrape with, do whatever else I need. Enough. You're only limited by your imagination. Alright, I hope this gets you started. Look around, see what else you got laying around. A $1 knife is probably enough to get you home. But if you have nothing else, this is always the best tool. This is the tool that is irreplaceable. You cannot get by without this tool. And remember, just like Cody says, the more you know, the less you got to carry. Alright? So if you're having every tool in the world with you, or having every tool in the world at your house, and you have all these knives at home, they don't do you any good unless you got it with you. But knowing that even if you don't have that knife, using the knowledge that you have up here and the skills that you can learn, you can get by without it. I'll catch you on the next one.